All right, so moving on to the next segment, I'll be sharing my thoughts on the Johnny Manziel Netflix documentary. So I will have to say, Netflix has done a very fantastic job with this Johnny Manziel documentary. The production was there. This series diving into Johnny Manziel's life, his football career, distractions outside his life, what happened to Johnny football. This was a great documentary, and I will come out and say that Netflix has put together some great football documentaries over the years. You had this Johnny Manziel one, the Manti Te'o story. That was another good one as well. The Aaron Hernandez story as well, even though that's a sad, tragic story. They made a great documentary of that as well. So they had produced some great NFL content on Netflix. But the Johnny Manziel documentary, man, mind blew me from start to finish of what we saw out of Johnny Manziel's football career. And let me say this. I love Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel was, to me, it was one of the best quarterbacks of the 21st century in college football. What he did at Texas A&M was phenomenal. What he did in those 2 years was fantastic. Absolutely amazing. He's the reason why Texas A&M is on the map, why they're known in the SEC. He even saved them because the first year that Johnny Manziel was a part of that program is when the Texas A&M, a team that only won 3 to 4 games that prior year, moved to the SEC, which was still is the dominant conference in college football. They took a chance, and Johnny Manziel put them on the map forever, Texas A&M. So, and it's unbelievable. Johnny Manziel was an unbelievable highlight reel in college. Like I just said, one of the best quarterbacks of the 21st century in college football. Absolute highlight reel. You would have thought that was a character that you a character that you created in a video game. He was basically playing backyard football. And Johnny Manziel had an unbelievable 2 years there. I think that game against Alabama back in 2013 was my favorite. 2012, 2013 was my favorite game. Playing against the number one team in the country, proved doubters wrong, etc. He had a lot of great moments in college football and was the first ever freshman to ever win the Heisman Trophy award. That is huge. And Johnny, man, I'm thinking about it in my head. Johnny Manziel was special in college football. That was my guy. And I remember back in 2014 when he came into the NFL draft, I remember tweeting on my phone as a freshman in high school. I was like, oh, Dallas Cowboys are on the clock. I was tweeting, the Cowboys need to get Johnny Manziel right now. He's on the board. And if you look back at that documentary, you look back at the 2014 NFL draft, you had Cowboys fans going bananas, chanting, Johnny, Johnny. Fans wanted him to get drafted so bad to Dallas to replace Tony Romo. And I was with them. I was fed up with Tony Romo at that time. But in reality, we didn't go with Johnny Manziel, and Jerry Jones and company did make the right call with the 16th overall pick in that draft. We drafted Zach Martin, who has been a phenomenal guard for us. Definitely a future NFL Hall of Famer. I think he's only had a total of 6 holding penalties since he's been in the National Football League. So you look back at the time, they definitely made the correct decision getting Zach Martin over Johnny Manziel. But at the time, I was a heartbroken boy. And so was Cowboys fans, because Johnny football in Texas might have been a movie. And I think they would have kept him in line compared to what he went through in the next step of his short NFL career. So going on, unfortunately, we saw that the fame and the pressure got to Johnny Manziel. The more he got famous, the more his love for football started to die off. He, in college, met countless celebrities. I'm talking about LeBron James, partying with Drake, Rick Ross, The Weeknd, Floyd Mayweather, you name it. Johnny Manziel was that guy as a freshman in college, hanging out with these guys, getting courtside seats to NBA games. I do believe that meeting countless celebrities, getting money under the table, illegally getting money under the table. Nowadays in the college world, we see college athletes get paid off of NIA deals. You could get paid a lot of money if you're a college athlete nowadays, but we're going to retract 10, 12 years ago. You cannot get paid as a college athlete. Johnny Manziel was getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars underneath the table. And Johnny Manziel's partying got to the best of him as well. Cliff Kingsbury actually said in the documentary when he was the offensive coordinator for Texas A&M, He said he came in intoxicated or hungover right before a game, and he was sweating on the sidelines, but he still balled out. And those things are nice in college, but when you get to the NFL level, that's not going to slide, especially being a franchise quarterback. And unfortunately, Johnny Manziel's pass translated to him into the NFL, which scared a lot of teams in the 2014 draft. This is a guy that teams, franchises were about to take a chance on. He was undisciplined, a kid that never got a slap on the wrist for his actions. Johnny Manziel really never was disciplined in college. I think that during the documentary, they actually showed that Johnny Manziel's punishment, his biggest punishment, was being sidelined for a half. For the things that he was doing, I would have slapped him. I would have gave him suspensions, time away from the team. You name it. Johnny Manziel was never disciplined. And I think that's what killed him at the collegiate level, because if he got a wake-up call, I think the possibilities, the potential, all this stuff doesn't happen. And that's the reason why he started to slip in the 2014 draft. Teams saw him partying. Teams saw him in off the field noise for the wrong reasons. And I think that's what scared a lot of teams away from him in the 2014 draft, because I remember that the Texans had the first overall pick in that draft. They went with Jadeveon Clowney, which at the time was a good pick to pair him up with J.J. Watt in Texas. But they needed a quarterback. Then the Jaguars went and got Blake Bortles off the board, with first quarterback selected off the board over Johnny Manziel, which led to him being selected 16th overall. But what really mind-blew me during this time watching this documentary was Johnny Manziel, as talented as somebody was, literally was talked about, and his agent, coaches even said that he watched 0 hours of NFL film. That is insane. So I'm thinking in my head, watching this documentary, if this man did not watch an hour of NFL film, how many hours did he watch of college film at the collegiate level? Probably 0 too. So that showed you how talented Johnny Manziel really was at college. But you can't slide like that in the NFL. You can't slide that like that in any sport after once you get to the pros. You got to put in the time on and off the field. And translating your game to only 0 hours of NFL film is very alarming. And the team saw this. So after a disappointing rookie season, he was basically thrown in the fire for the Cleveland Browns. You even had guys like Skip Bayless saying he was going to be the hero, a bigger athlete in Cleveland than LeBron James ever was for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So you had a lot of guys talking crazy. And Johnny Manziel had a off rookie season, thrown into the fire. Pressure got onto him. I think that's what really led to his divorce away from football. He chose drinking and partying in front of the media to avoid playing in games, avoid going to practices. This was his way of removing himself from the National Football League, which led to the Cleveland Browns releasing him from his rookie contract 2 years prior into his contract. So he was wrong. He was in the media for the wrong reasons. We saw as the documentary went on, denying rehab. He went going to court for the wrong reasons, getting in trouble with the law, taking drugs. But the more I think about it, I really do think if Johnny Manziel was committed to putting in the work for the game of football, the way he did in college football, if he could translate it over to the NFL, became a disciplined, mature franchise guy that didn't want to party, didn't want to get himself in off the field situations. I do believe that is one of the big what ifs of this modern day, this modern era of this current generation. If Johnny Manziel translated his game to the college, from the collegiate level over to the NFL. So it's unfortunate what happened to Johnny Manziel. I'm glad he's in a good place now in life. But it's very unfortunate because it's like, what if Johnny Manziel turned out to be that guy? How far could his NFL career have been if he brought his talent over from college to the NFL? And unfortunately, he goes down as one of the biggest busts of all time. But those are my thoughts on Johnny Manziel's Netflix documentary.